What's going on, guys? Chandler here. So this is going to be my new segment on my YouTube channel called First Listen Review that is taken from my $5 tier full album reactions. So I react to the entire album, and then at the very end I give my overall thoughts and initial thoughts and a score on the album as a whole. So again, if you do like what you see and want to support the channel going forward, head over to patreon.com/ChandlerBurtonEntertainment. This is exclusive to the $5 tier. Again, you get a full album reaction, review, and a whole bunch of other perks as well if you guys are interested. And again, there's always a link down below in the description and in the pinned comment. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy the review, and thank you all so much for watching. Oh man, oh man, oh man, we just got done jamming Sleeping with Sirens Complete Collapse. Was it better than How It Feels to Be Lost? Let's talk about it here. My first listen review is coming up next, so stick around for that. Alright, my friends, so again, that was Sleeping with Sirens and their brand new album, Complete Collapse. We just got done jamming the entire thing. I definitely enjoyed the album, man. It wasn't perfect by any means, but it definitely was a lot of fun all the way through. So I'm super excited to kind of just give you my overall initial thoughts on the album. So I would say, starting with the pros here, pro number one, that this album really does have some catchy melodies in it here. And what I mean by that is you're already humming some of the songs, you're already kind of singing along with Kelly, even though you kind of don't really know the songs like off bat, you can already hum the songs. And so I think that this album does a really good job of like giving you those catchy melodies that Sleeping with Sirens is really good at when they do it right here. And again, I think their last album and this album really capitalizes on those catchy melodies. So I thought they did a really good job with that here. I also really like about this album that this album is nothing overly complicated. It's very simple, but it's effective. And what I mean by that is, like, again, you don't need to be too crazy with your music for people to enjoy it. You know, obviously there's going to be a lot of bands that sound like Sleeping with Sirens or vice versa, and Sleeping with Sirens does a really good job of just kind of making it their own thing. It's nothing too crazy. A lot of the stuff does sound the same, but again, it's very simple and effective. And again, if you can incorporate that and do the best you can, I think, you know, that's awesome. I thought they did a really good job of keeping it simple. They didn't do anything too crazy with this album, and that's completely fine. Another thing I would say is Kellen's voice is really good on this as well, particularly his vocal patterns, the way that he sings a lot of these choruses. Like, for example, it was on the song Family Tree. I thought it was really, really, really cool. Even on Mr. Nice Guy, even though I wasn't a huge fan of that song in general, except his voice is really, really cool on that here. So again, the way he's able to sing some of the words to make it sound really cool kind of just proves that Kellen is like, he knows how to use his instrument, which is his voice. He can do a lot of cool things with his voice, and some of his screaming was really good as well. I think honestly this may be one of their heaviest albums when it comes to like breakdowns and screaming and those types of things. So Kellen's voice was really, really good on this here. Props to him. And then I would say the songs that do focus on mental health, I think, are really, really good. I think there are some cheesy songs. Again, Mr. Nice Guy is a little bit cheesy for me here, but songs like, you know, Be Happy, for example, I think were an awesome example of a song that could really help people who do struggle. And I really, really like that song a lot. And so those are my pros going into Complete Collapse. So there's a couple of cons that I do have with this album here. I would say number one, this album for me personally does have a bit of a plateau feeling in this album here. Honestly, anything after their song Us, I kind of just got a little bit, it got a little bit samey for me here. It was kind of like the heavy parts were familiar, the melodic parts were familiar. While they weren't bad by any means, it's just like sometimes when it's kind of like, imagine like, you know, you get hit in the head with like a water bottle, like a jug, for example, and not that it hurts, but it just gets kind of annoying after a while. And that's kind of how I felt with like the last part of this album. While it wasn't bad by any means, I just found I kind of plateaued a little bit here, and some of the songs are, again, extremely predictable, and they don't do anything too crazy with them here. I know it's kind of controversial what I said here, but sometimes when everything's starting to sound the same over and over and over, especially the last half of the album, it kind of does weigh on you a little bit here. It's not going to knock down the score too much here, because again, I think the simple effectiveness of this album really will benefit a lot of people. It's just those are the two things that stuck out to me when it comes to cons. So my top three favorite songs from this album here, I would say number one's got to be Be Happy. Again, I love the way that song sounded. It was a good mix of heavy, melodic, with really good lyrics on there. I think that's definitely probably the standout on this album for sure. That song was really, really good. I'd also say I really like Us. I like the vocal pattern on that song with Dorothy. Again, I don't know what she's from per se, but she sounded really good on that song, and I thought Kellum sounded really good as well. Like the build up to the chorus was really, really cool. And then honestly, I really liked Family Tree. Like that was the first song when I recognized like, oh, the vocal patterns on this album are going to probably be really, really cool. And that was the first song that I was like, oh man, this actually is really catchy and really melodic, and really good lyrics on that one as well. Really, really good lyrics. I did a little more deep dive into them here, and I really enjoyed the lyrics on that song. And so those are the 3 songs that stuck out to me on the first initial listen. I do plan on going back and listening to this album a few more times, so that may change, but those are the 3 songs that stuck out to me on the first initial listen. Overall, man, I really did like this album. I thought it was really cool. I do prefer How It Feels to Be Lost compared to this one here. It may change over a couple more listens, but overall, man, I really enjoyed this album. I think this is their 7th record, and I think this is one of their best records for sure. Definitely better than some of their older stuff, in my personal opinion. I also think this may be their heaviest record, like, sincerely. Like, I would need to go back and listen to some of their other stuff here, but this album was pretty heavy at some points. I was like, dang, it's actually really getting into it. I was like, this is pretty awesome. And then I feel like this album does have something for everybody here. Like, whether you like the soft stuff or the heavy stuff or the in-between stuff, I think there's something for literally everybody. Like, there's some songs on here that could absolutely be played on the radio, and then there's some songs that can be played like on a metalcore concert, and people get the pit going. So I think they do a really good job of finding that balance here. It does plateau a little bit for me at the very end. I do prefer the first half of this album over the second half, but overall this was a very good listen, a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it all the way through for the most part. I'm going to give Sleeping with Sirens Complete Collapse a 7 out of 10. I do not know if this is going to make my top 10 albums of 2022. It may be one of those albums where I give it an honorable mention, but I did like the album overall, and overall.